Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about, are they sad that you left? So first of all, I want to make it clear that there's no sure way of knowing 100% if they are sad that you left. But there are some signs that do indicate a more clearer indication that they do miss you and that they are sad that things ended and that you left. So I'm going to give you the first big one first, right? This is the main way that you can probably start assuming that this person probably does miss you. And I say probably because there's no, like I said, there's no 100% way of knowing, but this is the biggest clear-cut sign that they do in fact miss you. And that is they either call you up or they send you a direct message saying something like, hey, how are you? Hey, what you been up to? Or they may come up with something like, oh, do you remember when we did this? Something like that. That's a more clearer sign that they miss you. Now, of course, the biggest number one, the biggest sign is that they just flat out tell you that they miss you and they're sad that you left. But most of the time, most people aren't going to be that direct. They're going to do something else, like message you saying, hi, how are you? Something like that. However, don't get that confused with them sending you a message to finalize things, right? So a finalizing message where they're not into you and they still want the breakup to still happen. They don't want you back, but they do message you. They send a message to you, something like this, like, oh, hey, when can I collect my stuff? Or, hey, when can you come and collect your stuff? Or when's a good time to sort out the garage because there's some things of yours that are in there, you know, something like that. If it's anything to do with finalizing things and making the relationship end still, then that's not an indication and you shouldn't take that seriously. It's only when they send you a message saying, hey, how are you? Hey, what you been up to? Hey, do you remember when we did this? Or, hey, look, here's a photo that I found when we did this, you know, something like that. That is more of a clear indication that they are thinking about you, that they miss you, that they want you back, that they're sad that you're gone. That's a more clearer sign. So some of the more subtle ways that you can tell if someone misses you is, so the first one is if they post pictures of themselves in places where you used to go. So they may go to a place where you used to hang out and take a selfie there, or they may just take a picture of the scenery or something like that. That's a sign that they may be missing you, may be thinking about you, especially if it's a special place that was just for you two. Then that's a really huge sign, especially on social media, that they miss you and that they've been thinking about you. Another sign, but again, this is another one that you kind of need to take with a grain of salt because there's no way that you can know this for sure, but that is if mutual friends start talking to you about your ex and they say that your ex misses you. So you hear it from other people that they miss you, but you do need to take that kind of thing with a grain of salt. In fact, I made a whole video about mutual friends and basically when your mutual friends that you have with your ex start talking to you, why you need to take that kind of thing with a grain of salt. So I highly recommend that you go and watch that video if you haven't done so already. So let's go into a little bit about the stubborn ex, because there might be some people out here that you know, saying, because there might be some people out there watching this video that will be thinking, oh yeah, but my ex will never reach out to me and stuff like that because that's just how they are, that's just who they are, they're stubborn, they don't like to communicate about their feelings. Even if they were missing me, they would never say anything, they would never reach out to me because they're that stubborn. Now, if that's the case, if you've got a stubborn ex, basically, then you shouldn't even be thinking about that person anymore. You should really, well, I know that's hard, easier said than done. Of course, if you still think about your ex, then it's because you're attached to them in some way, you still care about them. But if they're stubborn, then you need to realize that breaking up with them was definitely the best thing. And even if they do reconnect with you, or maybe you want to reconnect with them, it's not a great idea, because if they're stubborn and they can't communicate about their feelings, if they can't communicate how they feel about you, or they don't want to try anything and they want you to do everything, basically they want you to make all the moves, then that's not the kind of person that you want to be with, because you need to be with someone who's a teammate, who is going to, you know, communicate with you effectively, who isn't going to make you do absolutely everything. So for example, even when they're in the wrong, you're still the one that has to apologize, things like that. You don't want to be with someone like that, because that's not a healthy relationship. You can't be the one that's always shouldering everything and all the emotions and making all of the effort, because if you're the one that's always going to be making all of the effort, then that's just going to emotionally drain you. You're not going to feel great, And you're going to have a really tough life if you go back with that person and you spend the rest of your lives together, right? You want to be with someone who is fun, lighthearted, can communicate, can own up to their own crap, basically, who can say that they made a mistake. And a lot of stubborn exes, that's their biggest problem. They can't own up to their own stuff, right? If they can't own up to it, then you don't want to be with them. You want to be with someone who can, like kind of laugh at themselves and apologize for, things that they do. And stubborn exes don't do that. They just don't do that as much. You need to find someone who does want to communicate with you in a healthy way, not in some kind of passive-aggressive, stubborn way. You hear people sometimes talking about how stubborn they are as if it's a virtue, but it's not, right? Being open and honest about how you're feeling is a bigger virtue than being stubborn and being kind of tight-lipped about how you feel, right? But that doesn't mean that you should go to them and say how you're feeling and say to them that you're missing them, because that's counterintuitive if you're doing that to someone who is a stubborn ex. Trust me, you are 100% better off without the stubborn ex, right? Trust me. If you want a healthy relationship where you can communicate effectively, you can't be with someone who is stubborn and can't communicate how they're feeling and kind of expects you to guess what's going on in their head. Like, it's so toxic when someone has that kind of attitude. Like you have to know what's going on inside their head, because there's no way you can do that. You can't predict what people are doing. You can't predict what people are thinking. And if they're stubborn, then it's just not going to be a very fun life for you if you ever do end up getting back with them. You want to have a life that's a lot more effortless, right? Because life is tough already. So you want to be with someone who you can have fun with, you can have a laugh with, who likes the same kind of things as you. You can do things together that you both enjoy. You may have some separate things that you do on your own, and it's probably healthy for you to have those things, have things outside of the relationship that you do. But ultimately, you want to be with someone who, on your days off, you can have great time with, and you enjoy each other's company, and you can communicate in a nice, happy, kind, loving way to each other. You need someone like that. And ultimately, that's what you should be trying to aim for, to find someone who likes the same things as you, who wants the same things in life as you, who you can spend time with, who you can have a laugh with, who you can enjoy. And that, that's the dream, right? That's the kind of person that you want to be with. And you can't have a life like that. You can't have a relationship like that with someone who is stubborn and can't communicate how they feel and can't admit to their mistakes and can't apologize for their mistakes. So ultimately, there's no way of truly knowing, basically, if this person does miss you unless they flat out say that they do. And you can't know for sure if they're going to say to you that there's no way you can know for sure if they are truly sad that you're gone. And you need to give up the idea that you can mind read, that you can figure this kind of thing out without actually asking them specifically. How can I get into my ex's head and think about what they're thinking of me? Do they miss me? Those kinds of things. Because I think if you do that, sometimes that can drive you a little bit crazy. If you're always trying to, guess how someone else is feeling about you. So it's better to kind of let it go. It's better to stay away from those kinds of things, to try and walk away from this person. You stay in no contact. The truth will come about eventually, especially if they aren't stubborn, right? If they do care about you, if they do miss you, if they are sad that you have left, then you will hear about it eventually, right? It will come about in some shape or form. You will find out about it. They will tell you, or you'll hear something from someone. But again, you can't take these things too seriously. Like I said, the biggest sign is that they'll message you and it'll probably be something like, hey, how are you? Or they'll bring up something that's not really that important. And they just sent it basically because they want to talk to you, because they miss you. Relax a bit, work on yourself, work on some goals that you have, work on some projects that you may be interested in. Maybe it's a case that a lot of time has gone by and you're now ready to date again, so start doing that, because that's one of the great ways that you can get over someone. If you start dating new people after you've had a period of time to get over the last relationship, have something that you're trying to work towards, have an aim. And you should feel a lot better eventually. And of course, heartbreaks are hard. They are difficult. Breakups aren't, they're really not the best experiences. But, most of the time, these kinds of experiences can transform you. They can create a better life for yourself eventually once you start to realize the lessons that that breakup has shown you. I always like to have the attitude of life is happening for me and not to me, and basically what that means is bad experiences, good experiences, mediocre experiences are all happening for a reason, and that reason is for your greater benefit in somehow, in some way. And if you see life like that, even really horrible experiences that you're going through, and just trust basically that it's happening for a reason, it's going to make you feel a little bit better and a little bit more relief. So obviously it's a tough experience that you're going through. Breakups aren't easy. It isn't fun, but you will get there. You will get over it eventually, and things will be better eventually. So thank you so much for watching. If you would like to get in touch with me personally, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.